Hello everyone, my name is Brad Flickinger with schooltechnology.org and welcome to step 4, which is determine grade level artifacts. So thank you for sticking with us through this series. I hope that it's been an enjoyable and a educational experience for you because we've really enjoyed putting it together on our side. So let's get right into these grade level artifacts. Before we show the actual digital artifacts, we need to understand this Bloom's digital taxonomy. And there is a link in our resource section on this page that will take you to this so you can really see it up close. But basically, Bloom's taxonomy was all about these higher level of thinking, going from a low level to a high level. Well, the digital taxonomy is from just basic level of remembering things digitally to actually the top one is creating things. So really think creating. That's the making a podcast and making a blog and a wiki. Really creating digital products is the highest level on Bloom's digital taxonomy. So this is just fantastic things that we're going to be talking about. Now, before we actually pick the grade level artifacts, we determine what skills are the priority for our building. And you'll be doing more of this in the actual action guide that's below this video here. So I just wanted to introduce what these concepts were, and then you're going to actually do them. So in my building, I had to come up with the priorities first for the students. And the number one priority was keyboarding. When they go, now I teach at an elementary school, so K through 5, the number one priority when they graduate 5th grade and go into middle school is they've got to keyboard well because it's no longer taught in middle school or high school, and they need to be great keyboarders to be able to do all their work. Now also, they need to be excellent at word processing. So much of the work they do, both in the business world when they graduate school, but also academically, is with a word processor, writing reports, doing those type of things. So they need to really know their way around inside of a word processor. We also felt it was a great priority for them to be great at presenting ideas, to be good at influencing their colleagues, their fellow students on different ideas and concepts. So we wanted them to be great presenters. And that, again, will play well when they go off into middle school. They should have a general understanding how email works so they can correspond one with another. Not a lot, since we only really bring it in 4th and 5th grade. But, you know, how to forward an email, how to reply to an email, how to use a list, those type of things. And then also they need to be excellent at doing online research. How to use multiple sources when they do research and how to find credibility of a website, to pull information out of it. They need to be great experts at online research for when they go off into higher levels of school. Now, you notice that we didn't talk yet about anything like creating a podcast or anything with those students because that comes later. That's the actual digital artifacts. These are just the skills that was a priority for our students. Now, for our teachers in my building and in our district, their priorities are a little bit different. The number one priority is that they obviously should know how to use the district email so they can get correspondence from their principal and from superintendent and those type of things. So that's pretty easy. Most people generally have an understanding of how to use email. So a couple little tweaks on how the district email works, but it's pretty easy to do. Now, second, and this is a really high priority to us, is that they need to be expert. Well, not expert, but they need to really be, I guess, fluent in using atomic learning because we use atomic learning for all of our other training. So rather than having to spend techs out and to sit down with somebody and say, okay, this is how you do this in a presentation software. This is how you create a Ning or these type of things. They just go to Atomic Learning, they search for it, and then they might watch a 2-minute video or a 3-minute tutorial on how to do something. And that's where we've got the big savings from as far as man hours and time being able to do it. And they can do it from home or wherever. So we give them a great lesson on how to be great Atomic Learning subscribers. So they can go in and they can find information quickly, find 21st century lessons if they want them and how to adapt them to their own classroom and their own students. So we give them a course on how to be great at using atomic learning because when we do spend a few minutes on that, we save hours on the other side. So we don't have to take the calls saying, you know, how do I do this or how does this happen? So we make them really good at that. We also make sure that teachers know how to use all their current classroom tech. So if they have a document camera, they know how to use it, or a projector, or a laptop, or those type of things, an interactive whiteboard. We make sure that if they have it in their classroom, they know the ins and outs of using it, so we're not wasting anybody's money. We also make sure that teachers have a classroom website that is effective, that they maintain, and that teachers and parents and students all use. And so we really sit down with them and make sure that they have a great website. And also that they have the Google Docs account set up, which is an excellent collaborative tools between teacher and student and teacher and parents and teachers and teachers and teachers and principals. All these people collaborate. And the reason why we picked this photograph is that you can do it from home. Suddenly you can be on there and you can be working with a fellow teacher, taking a look at some students' work, all just so easy because it's all just in the Google Docs cloud. And that's what's fantastic. We also ask our teachers to have an ePals account, and they don't use it a lot. They use it only a few times a year, but they'll connect with the classroom from, say, Venezuela, and they'll do like a poetry project. And it really helps their students think outside of their own little suburb or their own little state and really think more globally because they have this, this fellow classroom somewhere else in the world that they look up and they can see all this stuff about them. Which also brings us to this point here is that teachers need to understand how to use Google Earth, because so many of the things that they might talk about will have some type of geographical, I guess, twist to it. So, you're talking about kangaroos and like, okay, well, let's put up on the big screen and let's see where Australia is. And so the kids really get a relationship about where they are currently on the earth and where other things have happened, whether in the past or happening right now. Those things are great. So we give them a rundown on how to use Google Earth effectively. So that kind of covers what the teachers need to know in my building and what students. Now these are the priorities that I thought of working with teachers and watching what's going on there. And you're going to have to do the same thing. And we're going to talk about that in the action guide. Now try to limit your bias. Okay. Don't be going, well, I love spreadsheets. Let's make sure everybody does spreadsheets. Well, no, we don't work in spreadsheets in elementary school because we looked at the reality of that and said, no, we touch a little bit on it in 5th grade, but not very much time is spent on that. So really try to limit your bias and not be, headstrong one way or another, but try to be best for the student. All right, I'm sorry if I'm going through this rather quickly, but we have a lot of slides to cover in this compressed little 10-minute slot that we have to talk about here. So the next thing I do is I assign those grade level artifacts. I'm going to show you what those look like right now. And understand that learning always follows interest, and interest always follows fun, especially when we're talking about students. So I try to make these ideas seem as fun and as great as possible because then they really want to do them. And that's kind of drove me when I came up with these ideas working with teachers to what the digital artifacts are going to be. So in kindergarten, they create a digital drawing, and then it goes all the way up to 5th grade where they do a documentary video. And I wanted to kind of show you a photograph of each one of these things to give you an idea. So here's some examples of these lessons. So here we are, kindergarten. He's doing, looks like it's a big C, little c, and he's drawing, I think that must be a cat, a cake, a car, and possibly a cookie on there. But they're doing digital drawing. They're learning how to draw on a computer, and it's great. And so they will have a whole alphabet book when they're done kindergarten. The students in 1st grade start right off into using a document. And so the student is just working on a little document. Look how relaxed he is. Like, yeah, I'm just putting together a document here in 1st grade. And so they start being able to press the enter button and bold something and shift to get a capital of something. And so they really start working inside documents. And then in 2nd grade, they do a slideshow to start getting their skills on being great presenters. And that's very, very important to us. And you got to understand that all of these projects involve all of those skills we talked about. So it'll involve the keyboarding skill, the word processing skill, the presenting skill, all those things that we felt were very important. Every one of these digital artifacts is just dripping with those skills in it, as well as all the 21st century skills of being creative and collaborative and all those things. So in 3rd grade, they create a book. In 4th grade, they do a podcast. And in 5th grade, they do a documentary video. Okay, so that kind of just gives you an idea of where everything is at in my building. So in the next thing, in the action guide, we're going to talk about that plan that I use, that I just keep repeating over and over again with my teachers on how to really get these skills into everyday lessons and those type of things. But you, as the tech person for your building, need to come up with what the skill priorities are and also what the digital artifact should be, and then work with your teacher to build those. So that's what we're going to be talking about in the action guide, is how you can do that. So I'll see you in one more video down, and we will get going on the action guide.